What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Rantin Review. Today we're talking about some pro wrestling news from this past week. It has been a less eventful week in the sport of pro wrestling, but more about behind the scenes stuff, and in particular TV content that's getting switched around and rescheduled all over the place. I want to thank you guys, by the way, before we get into the story, about checking out this channel and helping it out over the past couple of months by hitting the like button and subscribing to it and sharing it wherever you can on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media platform you use to talk about wrestling. It's definitely helped the channel expand, and I definitely appreciate it. I always want to thank you guys for doing that. Now, I brought this up a few months ago when NBC announced that its sports streaming service was now going to be moving a lot of that content over to the USA Network, which meant hockey, NASCAR Wednesdays, which means NXT's days on the USA channel are a little bit numbered, and that basically this ended the very short and somewhat eventful Wednesday night wars between AEW Dynamite and the NXT weekly show. Now, even though WWE hasn't officially made an announcement, everybody pretty much knows it's coming, that NXT will most likely be moved to Tuesday nights, and hopefully that will help improve the audience, and it'll make more people, like I know myself, want to tune in to and not have to pick a choice between what's going on Dynamite and what's going on NXT. Then you can kind of have NXT be in its own slot and kind of regain some of that feeling that I will say NXT has lost since it's gone up against Dynamite on Wednesday nights. This also helps AEW Dynamite, obviously. Most of the times so far when they haven't had to go up against NXT, their ratings have hovered either just below or a little bit above 1 million viewers, which is really good for them, considering the fact that, again, the average viewership for Monday Night Raws is like 1.5 million these days. So they're not that far behind. They're doing pretty good, comparatively speaking, although all of these numbers are really low for the wrestling audience in general. I do wonder whether or not there's going to be more or an increase of it in the audience once COVID is over. You would have thought it would have been the opposite way because people were at home, but who knows? But for AEW, so far, they are one of the few companies that have actually, as far as viewership, even maintained and increased their viewership somewhat during the last year and a half of this whole thing, or year of this whole thing. So I don't know. It could lead to the explosion of AEW, and with them, if they can start averaging 1 million viewers a week, then they are serious competition. And as far as the viewership, they're never competition money-wise for WWE because that's way far off. But as far as them being a legitimate main event, mainstream company, they're on their way to getting there, especially, again, if they're going to have that many viewers every week. Somebody who got booted out of this whole situation was a partner with AEW, Impact. So Impact Wrestling had its show on Tuesday nights, but they haven't even hesitated. The week after WrestleMania, I think it is, they will be moving the Impact Zone to Thursday nights, back to Thursday nights, which Impact has gone back and forth on these nights historically for years and years and years now. But they'll be back on Thursdays, which is probably a benefit to them, because I know for me, I'm not a big Impact, I never have been a big Impact or TNA fan, but there's some things that they bring up on Dynamite that make me kind of want to watch Impact, and since I'm not used to watching it on routine, I usually forget Tuesdays that it's on. If it's on a Thursday, if they do a big angle with some TNA guys, or Impact guys I should say, on Dynamite, I might be more inclined to watch on a Thursday night. I mean, even the Juice Robinson David Finlay match against the Good Brothers, I had marked it down, I was going to watch it, and then forgot to watch it when it aired, so I had to watch it online. So that could probably benefit Impact in some ways. Only time will tell again with the numbers. Something entirely not expected, however, with programming and all this shuffling around of shows and content, is that WWE Network going to Peacock apparently is not going to be as smooth as anybody would have thought it would be, mainly because of censorship that's going on. So Peacock is cleaning up a lot of the WWE older programming. Fans are already noticing that there's stuff missing, there's shows missing, there's pieces of shows missing. Infamously, of course, some of the more sensitive topics, given the day and age that we live in, including Roddy Piper. Oh, in the old days at WrestleMania, I think it was WrestleMania 5 or 6, he painted himself half black and half white. Now, again, old school wrestling, I'll tell you one thing, as a black kid who grew up watching old school wrestling, I did notice there was a lot of A lot of racist stuff that used to go on. But this wasn't, the egregious act by Piper. I think it was more egregious years before that when he had said he was cutting the Haiti kid's hair, and he said, Mr. T, hey, at least I don't paint myself black and cut my hair like an Indian. And he said that. Go back and I think it was WrestleMania 2 or something like that. But this whole thing about him, I wonder if that's still on the network. I doubt it. But this whole thing about Piper painting himself half black and it's the blackface. It wasn't blackface. It was Piper actually trying to talk about racial unity and saying, we are embodied, we're unified. And it's funny how that is offensive, even though the message he was trying to get across with that act was to not separate the races, that we were all people. But that's the way we are today. Something else that was edited that a lot of fans took notice of, and this one probably should have been, it was the infamous moment when I think it was the 2005 Survivor Series, where Vincent Kennedy McMahon walked in the back and for some reason thought it would have been cool for him to say to John Cena, "What's up, my N?" At least he used it with an A instead of an ER. But I'll never forget that one, and I remember, it was done to be shocking. John Cena was shocked, and Booker T and Charmel were right there, and he's like, tell me I just didn't see that. I've heard Booker T talk about it, and, Booker's not going to say anything bad about the McMahons, unfortunately. I have to imagine if I was him, he probably, given his history, he probably was fuming inside. I don't know, but the guy said he was okay with it, but I know I would be, that's not cool, man. It's just not cool. But NBC Peacock took that out. Now, you get into free speech stuff. I don't think you edit that content out. I think you leave that stuff in there so people can see what things used to be like and understand the way things used to be and that we're not there anymore. I think that's a lot better than trying to censor all of this stuff all the time, especially, God knows what all other stuff. When they get to the Attitude Era, how much stuff in the Attitude Era is going to be all wiped out from all those Monday Nitros and Monday Night Raws. And there's a lot of stuff. There's some old school stuff from some old wrestling companies. A lot of the Crockett stuff from the 80s was a little risque. Some World Class Championship Wrestling stuff was a little risque. The way some of the guys treated female valets back in the day. I can definitely see people saying Macho Man and Elizabeth glorified domestic abuse. And there's a lot there in the old days. Ric Flair being a womanizer, all of this stuff. Where does it stop? Wrestling is supposed to be fringe. And all the fringe for WWE is being swept out of it. Even more so now than ever. I don't even think I don't even recognize the company anymore. It's just so sanitized and washed now. Now even the old school content that you could kind of go back to and go, well, back when it wasn't sanitized. Now that's getting sanitized. So, thanks, Vince, for choosing to get all that money from Peacock because they're getting paid a lot of money for it, but the fans get shafted on the content again. But that's it. Those are my ideas. That's what I'm talking about this week for the state of pro wrestling and sports entertainment. I do want to let you guys know that I have a contest going on. We'll be ending next month in the month of April. I will be choosing one of you guys at random, whoever leaves a comment in this video with the hashtag pro wrestling in it. I will be picking at random one person to win the Xbox gift card that I've got for $25, so definitely check that out. If you guys want to win that gift card, just again, leave a comment with the hashtag pro wrestling, and thank you very much. But until next time, when we have more stuff to talk about, I will see you guys for more news, rumors, and commentary right here on the Rantin Review. Have a good day.